Welcome back to Walsall Fan TV. The joy and the pain. The pain is over, or is it? Well, we're getting to predictions time. So I'm not going to be guessing them because we have Gab Sutton, and he knows. He has a good go anyway. He has a good go. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Simon. Good to see you. Great to be on the pod.
It's good. We'll get to Walsall's woes. You currently have Walsall 14th.
I do.
But let's have a run through, shall we? MK Dons, you got for champions. They've made a lot of changes, haven't they, MK?
They have,
course,
yeah.
Dan Kemp going to Stevenage.
Yeah, I think they've strengthened defensively, and I think those additions are going to make them tougher in big games.
Yeah, I think O'Hora from Hibernian. You probably don't know much about him, do you? Do you cover Scotland as well?
No, I don't cover Scottish.
Have we got a lad?
Sorry,
I think we've got a bit of a lag, haven't we?
I think we have, yeah.
That is not great. I think we'll just switch over to you for most of it. MK, I had got MK really to be up the top. I'm surprised that you've got Notts County at number 2. I know just sorting their defence was the challenge, but losing Macaulay Langstaff, there's a few things going on there. Explain and give me your thoughts behind why you think they'll be second.
Well, I think Macaulay Langstaff is actually. I think he was a beneficiary of the system, and they created so many chances that I think whoever else they bring in at top, as well as could be Alassane Jota, who they signed in January. I think they'll just be the same beneficiary of the system, and I think they'll be stronger defensively. So I'm happy to back them at both ends.
Got you. Donny, they did well at the end of last season, didn't they? So it makes sense that they're going to be up and around it. And Gillingham, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
one that you. Sorry, carry on. Go on.
Well, I was just going to say, I think Doncaster Rovers enjoyed that really excellent spring form last season where they won 10 games in a row. I know they've lost some kilo knees, but I see them carrying that on. And I think, again, with Gillingham, Mark Bonner inherited some solid defensive foundations. He's added attacking quality to that. And with a former promotion-winning manager, that should be a good blend.
In 5th, you have Carlisle. First of all, I just want to say a couple of the other pundits out there have not been very nice to Carlisle. I think Tom Williams has got him down in 16th.
Right.
Josh Talk EFL got him at 12th. I spoke to the Brunton Bugle, and after talking to them, I was a little bit depressed, to be honest. They've got lots of money, and Charlie Wyke, big signing for them. Paul Simpson, great manager. Harper and Davis, wing backs come in, are really good. John Mellish, of course, CDM. I think you've spot on with 5th there.
Yeah, I think so. I think John Mellish and Callum Guy are going to be so important to Carlisle. If you can keep them fit along with Aaron Hayden and Charlie Wyke, then I think they'll be in the mix. But I would expect them to go in the market for 1 or 2 marquee signings between now and the end of the window.
Well, they've got so much money, haven't they? That's they're certainly the team that's in. They're the money team this season, aren't they?
Yeah.
Chesterfield 6th. I haven't spoken to the Chesterfield guy yet. I've got him on in a couple of days. Chesterfield took their time getting up from the National League because of other issues of the likes of Wrexham and Notts County and the likes. But Chesterfield going to come with a lot of confidence as well. And Port Vale again, that's another team with money. And they've spent well, I think.
Yeah, I
What do
think
you think?
With Port Vale, it's George Byers from Sheffield Wednesday that's really the coup of the League Two summer, you might say. I think he's a fantastic addition. They've got Laurent Taladji as well, who scored a lot of goals for Aldershot in the National League. So, yeah, I think Port Vale look good. I think Chesterfield as well. They've got a good squad coming up. They've got a manager who's managed at a higher level before in Paul Cook, and he's a bit of a promotion specialist. So I can see why Chesterfield are much fancied. I think Chesterfield and Port Vale round off the top 7.
Yeah, just missing out 8, 9, 10. Wimbledon, Tranmere, Grimsby. Tranmere feel like they're a big club that just never quite sort of get it together. Wimbledon, again, ones that aren't quite making it. Grimsby, 10th would be a super finish for them, wouldn't it?
I think so, yeah. I'm happy to back them to make some progress this season under David Artell, a manager I rate very highly. So I'm expecting a big jump for them. Who else? Wimbledon, I think, just miss out. I'm intrigued to see. I think they were a pretty solid contender last season, never dropped too far off, and I expect them to be in the conversation again this year. And I like Tranmere based on the fact that they enjoyed top 10 form after Nigel Adkins got the permanent job in November. And I think if they can replace Rob Apter, then they'll be in the mix.
Yeah. Stepping into 11th, 12th, Fleetwood and Colchester. Colchester, the Super Cowley brothers, expected to pull things together and sort of lift them up into respectability. Fleetwood, they're a bit of an unknown quantity, really, aren't they?
Yeah, I think Fleetwood, although they were relegated last season, I did see some signs that I liked from them under Charlie Adam, and I think there's a good chance that they might be a good League Two side. Fleetwood might be better than 11th, but they might also be worse because of the ownership unrest and some of the problems that they've got, and the instability, you might say. So I think you could go either way with Fleetwood. With Colchester, I think I'm not so sure about them in terms of squad depth, but I do like their recruitment, and I'm very big on their manager, Danny Cowley, which is why I've got them in top half.
Yeah, Cowley brothers, yeah. It's not actually the brothers, is it now? It's just the one of them, isn't it?
I think they're still as a team, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, okay. My mistake. 13th, Crew. I think the Crew fans will be a bit disappointed with that one after their good run last season. Why do you think Crew are going to fall away so much?
Well, they've lost Elliot Nevitt up top. They've lost Rio Adebisi at left back and Luke Offord at centre back. So those are 3 big losses that I think are going to be difficult to replace. Bearing in mind their good form in the first half of the season came when they had Conrad Rawdon, who was sold to Blackburn in January, centre half, and they also had Joe White on loan from Newcastle. So they're not as good as Tayton, although it looks like a big drop-off. They've basically lost 5 players, 5 key players in the last 2 transfer windows since they were right up there in the first half of last season. So for me, I think Crew could drop into the bottom half.
Chance for Walsall to try and get near to Crew then. That'd be good. Walsall, 14th. Have you considered the fact that we haven't signed our strikers yet, or is that in the mix?
It actually wasn't so much the striker position, although I realise that you do need to strengthen up top. But I'm kind of not sure about. I like the results that Mad Saddle delivered last season, but I'm still not necessarily 100% on board with him yet. Hopefully he can change that this season, but for now I would say that. I'm a little bit sitting in the unknown with Matt Sadler, and therefore I find it hard to predict anything hugely positive. Even though I do like the squad. I think the midfield, even without Hutchinson, is pretty good. I think Conor Barrett looks like a great addition at right wing back. The goal kick, Tommy Simpkin on loan from Stoke. So I think there's lots of positives with the Cagby coming back as well. So in terms of the squad, I like it. Once you bring those strikers in. But I've also got 1 or 2 question marks.
Yeah, I think midfield, we do have options in midfield. It's whether Matt Sadler can get them working efficiently as a unit. In some of the pre-season games, they've looked very good, particularly against the Blues. But the last 2 against Drogheda and Solihull Moors, it looked like it was very disjointed. And so that was a concern for me. Yeah, Albert Adama coming in. That's going to be interesting because his favoured position is right wing back now, which is the same as Conor Barrett. So whether they're going to share minutes or not, I don't know. I think Adama maybe will be ahead of Conor Barrett, perhaps.
I don't agree with that. I think Conor Barrett. I think it's very difficult for a League Two club to get one of the top performers in the National League, and I don't think you bring in that caliber, that sort of player, to just be backup. So for me, I would start with Conor Barrett just because from a fitness point of view, I think he's going to find it easier to get up and down. He's incredibly highly rated with whoever I speak to about the National League, whereas Albert Adama is kind of coming to the end of his career. That's not really not sort of thing you'd associate so much with a wing back. So I think Conor Barrett should start for me.
Yeah, I think when we look at what Walsall have done, sort of transfer business, the 2 keepers that have gone, Owen Evans and Jackson Smith, replaced with Sam Hornby and Tommy Simpkin, I think that's an upgrade on last season.
Agreed.
The right wing back slot with Joe Fowkes and Tommy Knowles, as much as people love Tommy Knowles, it was his end product that was the problem. And Conor Barrett and Albert Adama, I think that's a definite plus point as well.
Yeah.
At the back, the fact that we've got a Cagbo back in there, that means we're strong for next season. And I think O'Shane McIntyre looks like he's slotting back into the back 3.
Oh, we can no longer call him O'Sheen. The O'Sheen's 8.
O'Sheen. Well, I always get grief for saying his name wrong, but I think I've got it right that time. So McIntyre, that's him. I'm going to go with that now. I did take the option of just calling him O'Shea, but I might revert to that. Say in midfield, there's quite a bit of talent in there. Ronan Mayer is sort of starting to develop. Jamie Jellis has looked very good. Jack Earing, we know if we can keep Jack Earing fit, he's massive. Charlie Lakin obviously had a great spell with Sutton. If we can get the best out of those and get them all playing together, we've got an injury issue with Brandon Comley, so we're going to start with Ryan Stirk as CDM. So there's so many options there. And if Matt Sadler can use the bench effectively, we can keep the energy throughout the 90 minutes. Yeah. It's just the goals and contribution from Isaac Hutchinson is a massive miss. And
I mean, whether Ronan Mayer can step up, that's what I'd be excited about, to see if he can make that jump and maybe flourish ahead of schedule.
Well, as much as we like him, I can't see him scoring 11 and 12 assists.
Yeah, fair.
He's not going to fill that void. I think between him, Jellis and Lakin, they'll probably need that to overhaul that contribution. But we will be contributing a lot more from the right wing back slot, because Tommy Knowles, I think 1 goal and 1 assist or 2 assists all season. We're going to get a lot more out of Conor Barrett and Albert Adama if he's in there as well. Maybe we'll play with 2 right wing backs this year just to help us, I think. But But it's up front where we got the problem. Between Mo Fall and Freddie Draper, that was 16 goals last season, and at the moment we haven't got a replacement for that. Josh Gordon has been signed on, which is a difficult one to understand. We understand his pace and his willingness to run the channels and chase people down, but as far as scoring, that's not really a big part of his repertoire. And Jamil Matt has had a great career, but is he going to play more than probably 15, 20 games for Walsall? And
sure.
Danny Johnson very much was out of favour with Matt Sadler. He's not. He's only just gone back to training after a neural issue, so he's not going to be really playing a big part. So Walsall need very quickly at least 2 strikers that are going to be able to hit the ground running without any pre-season games, and that's where my concern is. As far as my prediction, which I've been holding off on, on our fan chat last night, people asked me about predictions, and I said I'll make a prediction at the end of August.
Oh, come on! Oh, Simon,
maybe that's cheating a bit.
Yeah, that's cheating.
I think with the current squad as it is, I think 18th would be a good result with the current squad. But I do have some faith. Yeah. But I do have some faith that we'll actually get some strikers in. And because we have a solid base for everything else, it's just the top of the pitch where we need the action to happen. So with some decent additions, that 18th, I think we could be challenging top 10, maybe even top 7, depending on who comes in.
You say 18th, though. I mean, okay, the striker position is the weakest area, but you have got Jamil Matt, Josh Gordon, and Danny Johnson, which is, not a bad set of options if to say it's your weakest area. So, I mean, there's also an option where you could play.
Just got a connection issue there, I think.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
So, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, sorry, I just thought you were carrying on. That was all. Danny Johnson, we've kind of forgot about Danny Johnson really because he hasn't played, and with him only just going back to training, we don't know when he's going to be back match fit and impacting on the team. So that is a concern. Josh Gordon seems to have lost his mojo for scoring goals. In his career, he hasn't been particularly that productive. And Jamil Matt, I think he's sort of dropping off with his goal return as well. So on paper, perhaps they're 3 very good strikers, but the reality is, in all through pre-season, neither of them scored, which is a concern.
Yeah,
Anthony Russell made a comment, going nowhere without decent strikers. Maybe Albert Adoma, should he go back up front? What do you think?
Not sure about that one. What I was going to suggest was maybe going 3-4-2-1 with a kind of box midfield to while you don't have necessarily what you want at top.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, games are so tight, and it's the strikers that sort of grab those points, isn't it? So I think that's why I think without the striking ability, matches that we should have won will perhaps not win, and that's why I'm wondering where we got a problem. Just looking at a couple of comments. Really nervous as Sadler's could be worse than 14th, says Carl Harbridge. Owners who invested in paint and gloss with no substance. That's another comment. Joe Kulik, 18th is crazy, Simon. There's not 17 better teams than us. Well, I don't know whether he's being sarcastic there or not. I don't know. But let's continue.
I think 18th is a bit low, personally. But I get. I mean, yeah, I get where you're coming from.
I think I'm just worried because the lack of striking options. There are some players that have been suggested. I'm not sure whether you know much about these guys. One, Emre Tezgel. He was on loan at MK Dons at the end of last season. He's did okay for MK. So Jonathan Harris says.
Yeah.
What do you know much about him?
Yes, he was regarded as one of the most sought after strikers in Europe as a youngster, in terms of his age group, I should say, when he was coming through the ranks at Stoke. And he's regarded as very technically gifted forward. Maybe hasn't quite had quite the physical attributes to make that translate into senior football just yet, but there's definitely ability there. So I think he'd be a great signing.
Yeah, Nathan Lowe was also Stoke player.
Yeah,
he's one also. There's a possible.
Well, that's interesting actually
because Nathan.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I mentioned Emre Tezgel, and there's actually a view at Stoke that Nathan Lowe has had the potential to translate better to senior football than Emre Tezgel because he's got more pace and power and raw attributes. That's kind of that's where I'd kind of compare those two. I think I'd be most confident of the two that Nathan Lowe would have a solid return and make his presence felt and make a contribution. But I actually think Emre Tezgel probably has the higher ceiling to really just smash it, if you like, because of his technical ability. But it depends whether he can adjust from the physical to the physical aspect.
How about if Walsall got both of them in? That would be interesting because they've played together.
Yeah.
Pretty much exactly the same age. I think they're born about a month apart, or less than a month apart. So they've obviously been round Stoke a lot. So having those two coming in, that would sort of, even though they haven't had a pre-season with Walsall, that could be a couple of the players that could really sort of spark things very quickly.
I think so, yeah.
Perhaps. Another player that's been mentioned, Reyes Cleary, is an Albion player. You probably don't know much about him. He hasn't been on loan yet. Are you aware of him?
I know that he's regarded as he's quite talented. So where have you got him down as? I've definitely heard the name before in connection with someone who.
Yeah, he's centre forward. Centre forward.
Centre forward as well. Yeah, I definitely know that I've heard the name, and West Brom fans think a lot of him. I'm not able to give you much more detail because I need to do a bit of research. But yeah, I've definitely heard the name before. I can say that.
Right then, we move on. 15th, Bradford. They'll be disappointed with 15th, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think it's just the age profile of the squad. I think they've got 10 players in their 30s and another 8 in their late 20s. So I'm expecting a lot of those players to decline. And I'm not sure how highly I rate Graham Alexander. So I've got them in the bottom half.
Andy Cook, can he do it again?
Yeah, I mean, he's been a goal.
He's going to be tiring, hasn't he, now?
Yeah, he's been a clinical goal scorer at this level in recent years, but I feel like he might have to carry Bradford City a bit too much this season. So yeah, I think it could be a tough season for
him. A team that have dropped down the rankings from yourself is Barrow, down to 16th. They've had a bit of a turnaround, haven't they? Had a bit of a clear out. What's your thoughts on Barrow?
I think Pete Wild's going to be a loss. We don't know yet how good Stephen Clements is going to be. He did struggle at Gillingham last season, didn't get much time there. So he's a bit of an unknown quantity. I do like some of their recruitment. I think Conor Mahoney out wide is going to be a really exciting addition. But I've got a feeling that they're going to regress into the bottom half.
Yeah, I understand there. Bromley, I think they'd be very happy with the 17th finish. Swindon, I think they're one of those, aren't we? You never know what's going to happen with Swindon.
Too many off-field problems with Swindon. That's their problem.
Yeah, that's it. And Salford, Gary Neville buying up the rest of the shares, but there's a few predicting Salford to drop this season.
Well, I tell you what, the one to watch out for at Salford this year is Matty Young. I don't know when you're playing them, but Matty Young, when he was on loan at Darlington from Sunderland, was regarded as better than Jordan Pickford was when he was at Darlington. So he's only 17, I think, at the moment. He might turn 18 quite soon, but he's definitely one to watch, Matty Young, on loan at Salford, the goalkeeper. So, keep an eye out for him because he could be another Carl Rushworth type.
Yeah, got you. Okay, we'll have a look for him. Cheltenham 20th. They're struggling as well, aren't they, Cheltenham?
Yeah, not sure about Cheltenham. They've gone with their recruitment very weighted towards who the director of football, Gary Johnson, and who Michael Flynn knows. And I think that's maybe not the best model to go with. I think more successful clubs nowadays are going to go for a more scientific approach. So I worry about Cheltenham regressing after relegation last year.
And Newport sort of, they seem to be falling apart a little bit as well, don't they?
I think they're going to try and change the style this season under Hugh Jenkins, who was previously Swansea owner. So it's that sort of idea. But I don't think it's going to work at Newport County because when Newport have tried to evolve the style before under James Rowbury, as they had a couple of years ago, it hasn't worked out for them. So I think they're going to end up in a dogfight and they're going to have to go back to revert to type.
And then Morecambe. It's hard to understand how Morecambe keep going, really. But Adams, he'll sort him out, I'm sure, won't he?
Yeah, Morecambe have got the worst squad in the league on paper, and a lot of the players they've signed wouldn't have got an EFL deal if it wasn't Morecambe. However, they've also got a really good manager in Derek Adams who knows how to drill a team into shape, and I've got a feeling that he's just about going to keep them up.
Yeah. The Harrogate, I think Harrogate is probably not a surprise that they're sort of heading down that way. Accrington, they've made one particular signing that I very much like. Jimmy Knowles. Do you know much about Jimmy Knowles?
Well, they signed him from Boston.
Yeah.
They signed him from Boston alongside Kelsey Mooney, so we'll be interested to see how those two get on. But I think it could be an odd atmosphere around Accrington this year because of the way John Coleman left.
Yeah. So a few challenges there. Not the greatest connection today, so we're going to leave it there, I think. We'll catch up with you again as the season gets rocking. Let's just have a look. Last comment. I'll be with you and reserve judgment until we bring in some forwards. But I think 11th to 15th is fair. I think we were hoping Walsall were going to go for promotion this season. But I don't think we have the squad. Unless if we suddenly announced tomorrow that Mo Farl and Freddie Draper are joining us, then I think you'd readjust your prediction, wouldn't you?
Possibly, yeah.
Right then. Thanks for joining us. Walsall Fan TV, the joy and the pain. Great to have you with us, Gabriel.